Okay. There's some things that I've been considering, or some things that I've been wondering about, which people ask questions, so I just start to consider. But I'm not sure them that a long time ago, when people were younger, I think, and the elders used to talk in Haichum, and I've heard a lot from elders. And I remember when I was small, I used to listen to my grandfather talk about stuff, and then when I got older and into high school, I would still talk to him, and even after high school. But I think when I was young, like probably in high school, in the early part, I went to go see my grandfather a few times, and I remember there was some men that came, and sometimes he would be drinking with those men, and I would sit down. It didn't bother me that they were drunk, and I didn't realize at the time that they were more free to talk about stuff. And most of it was just gibberish. But once in a while, somebody would throw out something, and the stuff that they said was really about the culture or about who we were as autumn. And I learned it, but I just thought, it's just something that the memories that they shared. And I think after that, I went back a few times and talked with him, and we had Ushrat, and we started to go into the places where I think that sometimes he wouldn't tell certain people, or he would tell me things that was on his mind, but maybe people didn't understand it, so he wanted somebody to tell or whatever. I don't know. It was just that that's the way it was, and so I just took the information, didn't really know what it was about or what it was for or anything. I just listened. And these men that I remember when Manye, I guess he would go out when I wasn't there, or he would talk to people, and he would tell them that I was there, I visited, and what he told me or whatever. Because sometimes it would be like a week, and I wouldn't go see him, and then I'd go back, and it wasn't like announced or anything. I just go check, and if he wasn't home, then I move on and go talk to Tony, or go just go down to the cemetery or whatever. Just walked. But I think those men realized or knew that I liked to listen to stuff like that, or that I had the patience to sit down and listen. So sometimes I'd be somewhere, at the store or the clinic or whatever, and they would just tell me stuff. They would just start telling me stuff, and a lot of it was like Husi Pancho, but Ben Gregorio, but those guys, Jose Marie or Husma, um, Lee Anton, but they would just start talking, like if I showed up someplace, and they would tell me, or I would sit down and they would come over and sit down, and they were saying up and do it again, and then it would start from there, and they would just ask me if I knew this or if I ever was told this, and then just started telling me, and I sat and listened to them, and um, sometimes there was people my age there that would just go away. But even then, sometimes when they were drunk, they were easier, to talk to. But they would just come, and if they were drunk, and they would say, "Hey, and mug," and then they're like, "Okay," and then I would sit down, or just that. And even if it was for a few minutes, they at least they got their word across or whatever. But I just heard, and oh yeah, that's why I can't really, stick to who said what unless I went back to the words, how they said it, and all that. But anyway, there was something that came up regarding this either, because macam our medicine people, or mama mahasam chicha, and the elders, when they speak about things, a lot of it is like they how do you say, they they say something, but it's in their own terms or how they knew as kids, and if we don't know what they're talking about, it's just gibberish. But because I think Mama Shahai that the way autumn used to be, it kind of a little bit understand a little bit more. But one of the things that came out was at that time, my grandpa was mentioning that my dad got sick when he was real young, and so they had all these ceremonies, and that's mostly what I heard. And my mom told me, and my uncles and aunts sometimes mentioned it, but never really mentioned it. But I did get a document from Dealey Barr, who had her husband Don passed away. His notes and what happened during that time. But it was during that time when he was talking to you about that, he mentioned that there's a lot of sicknesses that are coming our way, and then he mentioned that Mamaka have always said that, that this world that we know it is going to go away, and they talked about the end of the world and the end times, and it was always mentioned in those autumn myth that the world ended, a few times, that Jewett Maka or Itoy or both of them got together and they killed off all the people and started all over again. And in the first part of the creation myth, Jewett Maka makes people, and he forgot to create death, so they weren't dying. So there was all these people walking around. So he had to kill them all. And there's several ways that he did that, but he ended the world. The most famous, or the one that people usually share about, a flood that he caused that killed all the people, and then the people could die after that. They had a place to go after they died. And then soon after that, there was also a story about how they had made more people, and then they started teaching them the rules, what to be like and how to behave and all this stuff. But the people wouldn't listen to them, and they were just doing whatever they wanted to, and they weren't listening to the rules. They weren't following the rules, so they decided to kill off the people. And so they, in making a short story shorter, making a long story shorter, and a shorter story shorter, and the Itoy and Jewett had created this beautiful man, to go out and impregnate all the girls, all the young women. And so this man would do that, and then he would he would sleep with he would have sexual intercourse with the girl one night, and the next morning she'd give birth. And then it went on for years, and all these people came about, and all they were doing was trying to send this man in there to show the people that they were not behaving. But people didn't understand that, and so they wanted to stop that. And during that time, Jewett Maka and Itoy are preparing themselves for this flood. It's kind of the same thing where in the Bible, Noah makes a boat, and in the middle of the desert, and everybody comes and makes fun of him. Why are you making a boat? And he keeps saying, prepare, something bad's going to happen. But they don't listen to him, and then the water comes, or the rain starts pouring, and the water comes, and then the people are running, and then they're trying to ask Noah, get me onto the ark, It's kind of the same thing that Itoy and Jewett Maka did. They created this man, and so this man, this smart chief, had did something so that the man couldn't sleep with his daughter, and he wound up having that baby. And that's one of the number one sins in autumn myth, is that for a man to have a baby, because it's not up to a man. They weren't created like that. So a woman's supposed to have the baby. So anyway, he brings the baby and leaves it in the desert, and it starts to cry, and then the tears from the baby start to cause a flood. And Itoy and Jewett Maka, Itoy makes a pottery and gets in there. Jewett Maka made like a little raft, and the coyote went into this, or they put him in this bamboo, and he survived. And then it goes on how the flood waters came up, and people ran up to the mountain, and they're up there, superstitious mountain, and they're just playing around. And then the dog speaks up there, and then turns everybody to stone. That's where that story comes from. And then the flood water goes up, and the birds are way hanging up on the ceiling of the sky. And then the what's it called? Ipismar, hummingbird starts to sing the song, and the watery seas, and Jodmaka Ita and the coyote came down and rested, and then they had to go find themselves, and then they made new people again. And then from there, they went well, I guess, for a long time. And then those people that Ita made, they turned on him. He told them the rules, what to do, what not to do, how to do this, how to do that, but they wouldn't follow his rules. And so, because they didn't follow his rules, he started doing things to show them. And again, the same thing. He would go to the feast waka, where the girls were receiving their womanhood, and then after that, take the woman home, the little girl home, and then be up there with her, and then come back, and like that. He would do that, and people didn't like that, so eventually they killed him, and he died for a long time, and he stopped the water, and then one day it started to rain in a little spot, and that's where Ita resurrects himself, and he decides to kill those people that he had made. So he goes underground to get Jewish democracy people who are us, the Autumn are underground. And so he pulls us from underground to what they call Chiwatik. Some people say that's the Grand Canyon. But anyway, he pulled us out of there, led us out of there. And this is where the four clanships of the Autumn are created. There are four warring clanships. Mamagam, Apapgam, Wawgam, and Apkigam, those four that were created. And they came along, and they were taught to fight. And again, back to the Bible, Moses led the people out of Egypt to go back to their homeland, but somebody else was living there already. So Moses had to kill all those people. So he taught them how to fight. And they walked, first they had to walk in the desert for 40 years, and then they fought, and then they took over their homeland again. The same thing, kind of, in a way, Autumn, where he leads the people to the desert, and then he teaches them how to fight. And then they learn all the stuff, and then he comes in, and then he kills the Huhukam, which is, again, Huhukam, the word means Huhuk, there's no more. If I had some sunflower seeds and somebody asked me for some more and I ate them all up, I say Huhukat. There's no more. That's what that word means. And Huhukam means that they're all gone. I don't know about these ancestors thing that people talk about, that Huhukam are our ancestors. I don't know if they're ancestors. I know that we killed them off and took over this world. That's what the ahga tells us. So we take over this land, just like in the Bible, like I mentioned. So we took over this land, and we're living here. And then things happen, and every time something happens, the people start to misbehave. Itoi does something to show them, and the people don't get it. They just don't listen, and then he sends some bad stuff to come, and then but the reason he's doing it is to create some more creation, more things. In the story of, say, like Hawkyoks, Itoi and Kulitash had made this because the people had stolen the fire. So Itoi and Kulitash made this agreement, and because the people had killed Itoi by using the sun's power, using the sun's power to kill him. So this is kind of like revenge in a way, where the Kulitash makes a shronikut out of his chukuduk, and he rolls it down, and that's what becomes Hawkyoks. Hawkyoks grows up, and she starts to kill the kids, the future of the Autumn or Wushkam. She kills them off, and then the people have to turn around. And it's funny how Itoi sends the bad stuff, and then we have to go and call him to come and save us. So Itoi comes and kills and helps us kill the Hawkyoks, and then he goes back. And and then also the story of the Ego Man. The reason was that Itoi, or they had to populate the world with people that were different from Autumn. And so Itoi, again, with using the Gint's game, it started off him teaching the Gint's game, and then a man cheating to beat Itoy, and then he in turn gets this man to help him out with his son and daughter, and they go and they kill the eagle. I mean they go and they make the man turn into an eagle, the one that's doing the cheating, and so he goes out and he starts killing people, and he kills thousands and thousands of people just all over, and he takes them up to his, in the story, he takes them up to his cave. He kills like, if one or two, maybe he'll grab like 7 people and take them up to this cave. He'll kill all of them and then grab 1 or 2 and they'll eat that, him and his wife and his child, and then after that all these dead bodies are there, and then Itoy, they call in Itoy again. And every single time, in the time when they call Itoy to kill Hawkyoks, and in the time when they call him to kill the Ba'agawatam, the eagle man, he always takes his time. Like he told the people in that he was going to be there in 4 days, but he doesn't come till 4 years later. During that time, the eagle man is killing all these people, and he's creating this pile of dead bodies up in his cave. And so therefore, Itoy is being called, and he goes out there and he kills the eagle, and he takes the blood and sprinkles it out, and he wakes up the people. He brings the people back to life by spilling hot water on them, or sprinkling hot water on them. Then we can know it, and we call it hots. Those the hots. So he throws the hot water on them, and they all get up. They wake up when the hot water hits their backs, and they all get up, but they wake up and they're speaking a different language. So this is where Itoy creates all the different tribes, the different cultures, it's a long story. But anyway, so they come down, and then Itoy teaches the people how to use the eagle as their helper, the feathers, because now they're taking the spirit of the eagle when they take the feathers. Kind of like what do you call it? People, when they kill somebody, they scalp the enemy. When they scalp the enemy, they're taking the spirit of that person. So in the same way, that's why we do that with the eagles, and that's why girls, are not allowed to touch eagle feathers. But that's a whole different story. And so, but Itoy tells us to do something, behave, and we don't behave, and then he sends something to show us that we're doing something that is not right, and then it sends some kind of a bad spirit to kill us, or something in nature that will kill us. Even at the children's shrine, the Itoy sent the badger that made the man chase the badger into the ground, and that's what made the water come, and the water that almost flooded the area and almost killed us off. But then Itoy comes, or the men go and they sacrifice 4 children, because that's what Itoy is saying. You need to take the most precious thing that you have, or children, and sacrifice them, and that's how we get the children's shrine. But Itoy take those spirits, and he took them to the ocean and showed them, and because he needed to do that to lock down the world. But in the same way, he's telling us that we're doing something that is not right. And every single story in the myth, the story about the woman who was what they call the whore in the thing, and they had to cure her. Itoy sent that woman to show us that we were doing something that was not right. We're not behaving. And throughout the years, when smallpox came and the different kind of diseases, you ask the medicine people, what's going on? Why is this happening? And they've always responded with that same thing, is that people are not following the himdag. They're not following the culture. They're doing more stuff to become white people, or more stuff to become black people, or more stuff to become Hopi, or more stuff to become Mexican, or whatever, Hispanic. Doing more of that and losing your O'atam himdag. You're not even talking O'atam. And I can tell you, the people that speak O'atam now, of all those ones that speak autumn, and there's people that keep saying they want to learn it, but they think that they can snap their fingers and then they can get it. But it takes a lot of work, takes a lot of practice. But there are more people out there who speak Spanish than they do autumn, or who want to speak Spanish than they do autumn. There are a lot of people out there who are talking what they call ghetto language, kind of like that kind of people that black people speak like. There are more young people out there speaking that kind of language than there are autumn. There, I mean that they're speaking that than there are that are wanting to or trying to speak autumn. So if you look at it this way, and this coronavirus thing, Mumkidag, there's it's already here. I mean, it's been here for years. It's just waiting to wake up, but it has to come from outside, because every day all these viruses and germs come through our bodies, but we have an immune system that takes care of them. But then it comes in very strong from outside, and I don't know, but all I know is that we can blame somebody else. But to me, because we've moved so far away from our our culture, that I think this is one of those things that is trying to show us that we need to return back. And whether you believe me or not, that's a whole other thing. I'm just wondering, again, like I keep saying, when is it going to happen where the very last autumn speaker is standing up before us? We might all know how to make baskets and pottery and all that stuff, but not speak the language, and yet that is the root. Because when people came here thousands of years ago, they encountered this desert, and the stuff that is born in this desert, the cacti, the mesquite trees, the turtles, the different kind of animals that are here, they are what we had to find a word for and describe what they were doing, and the trees that we ate that born our language, that made our language. But because now we can go out and go to Walmart and Fry's and Bashas' and go all over the world and see all this other stuff, that we're starting to move out away from this desert and away from the responsibility of keeping the Himdak alive. So again, to me, that's generally what it is. And when this virus hits here and people are really afraid, they're not going to look at that, what I'm talking about. But and for those people, those few people that are listening to this and who understand this, I think some of them will change and start to maybe go back to the culture. But the majority of the people around are already hooked up into the next world. You can still be autumn and have a computer and an iPad and do all this stuff. It's just the behavior, the attitude that you have. But again, we're picking up, the young people are picking up that stuff, and that's what's going to kill autumn. So the end of the world doesn't always mean the end of the world, like what the Bible explains about with the end of times. What the end of the world also means when things are done, when it's gone. The autumn person I think is one of those things that should be marked as an endangered species, because we are. The autumn human individual, the one that has the autumn blood running through them, is still going to live, but the percentage is going down. Pretty soon there will be no more full-blooded autumn. It's just going to be all mixed with some other blood. There's very few of us that are full-blooded autumn, and it's going to go down. And once that is gone, the whole autumn human starts to mix with everything else. It's going to end right there. So yeah, there will be still people that will still have an enrollment number, because that's not what they're using. There'll be a small percentage of persons that are autumn blood, but again, it will be dead. Now there are more Mumkidag that are actually making Bahidak sitor and then the sitor from the other plants. There are a lot of them picking ushrap. There are a lot of them that are taking the beans from the stuff and using it like autumn used to. Not so many autumn do that anymore. The medicines that we use, there's a lot of herbalists out there, a lot of Mirgan herbalists who use this medicine that we have right here, and for their benefit. They make money off of that. But Achim, the ones that were supposed to be using it, the ones that were gifted from Chiwatmaka Itoi, the ones that they gave it to us to use, we're starting to not use it, and that's why I think that these things are coming in. This coronavirus thing coming in, it seems deadly. People are afraid, but there's other stuff that are out there that is really, really going to destroy us. But we won't see it coming until we return back to our Mumkidag. And one of the things is to do storytelling, or to find out what storytelling is. But I know some of you all won't do that during the summertime, which is okay. But when the winter time comes, who's going to be left to tell the stories? Some of these elders might not be here. I might not be here. People that tell the stories. But again, it's not that valued. You get storytelling at different places. People call together people to do storytelling, and you can catch part of it, but the whole myth from the beginning to the end is something totally different. And that's where all the Mumkidag lives. Just like in the Bible, all the Christianity and the Jewish faiths all take it from the Bible, what it says in the Bible. For all of them, it's in the ahga, in the myth. But again, it just depends. Who's going to listen? Who's going to hear it? Who's going to be the one to understand, its meaning, its teaching? Because again, this world is leaving. So I just wanted to make mention of that, because again, we're getting a lot of these messages with regard to the coronavirus, but it soon will. It seems like it'll soon be taken care of. They'll come up with some kind of cure, and then you don't have to be afraid anymore. You're going to go out. But yeah, there's still fear. There's still other stuff that is out there that is coming. And again, like I said, that's going to be more powerful than this thing. And we have to be ready. And we have to hold on to our Mumkidag. But what is Mumkidag? Who really knows? You're only going to turn to those people that practice it, that know it, that understand it, that have heard it. And they're not going to be around for a long time. So, but I just wanted to challenge you with that. And yeah, I know it's just my own, this crazy old man talking, and he's saying this and that, and who listens to him, and we know what he did in 1977 or whatever. That's fine. But again, my words are just something that I'm thinking of, and hopefully people will understand it and will, do something about it. It's a good thing that people always, when you put something on social media, people go, oh yeah, that's what I do. My grandma said this, or my grandpa said this. But what are you doing? There's ways that women are supposed to take care of themselves. Are they really doing that? Because if they were doing that, we wouldn't be caught in a lot of the things that we are caught in now. There's some things that men are supposed to be doing. Supposed to take care of your family, protect them. Don't wind up in prison, or don't do something that will put you in a bad place where you can't help out anymore. We need your help. Be a man, and respect women, and respect your children, and learn and get a job. Go to school, finish school. Whatever you have to do, you need to do. Those gangs out there aren't going to help anybody. When it's time, and you get hurt and you get shot, you wind up in the hospital, they're not going to come visit you. It's going to be your family. That's what you need to think about. So, but how much? Thank you for listening.